Today, to advance our discussion, we look at a real life story. This is a story of a young gentleman whose mom, under whose care he was, traveled outside the country and left him in the hands of family, uncles, aunties. Now, because some of these uncles and aunties did not also take him as their biological child, they left him on his own, virtually, growing up. And so he virtually trained himself all the way through. And so by that, he decides what is right for him and what is wrong. And so growing up, working with friends and what do you call it? Those kind of relationships led him into joining this gay group. At least from the very beginning, of course, I mean, the perks of it was enjoyable, but it got to a point where he realized that it was tiring and he wanted to call it quits. That was where the problems began. Every attempt to call it quits proved futile. So he decided at a point to end it all. Because he was tired of it and he was tired of the world.
End it all by taking his life?
Yes, suicide.
Wow.
And that was where he encountered counseling and thankfully has been transformed. But it is a real situation of many children. And that brings to question who is responsible for training the child. So as last week we were discussing, of course, the buck stops with the parents. We live in a world now that everyone's focus is on money.
Right.
Well, of course, the money is important because that is what will also hold the home together. But the right balance is critically important. Yes, we can travel distances to different places to look for money, but our focus should also be training our children. Because at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. You hold, except of course you are no longer on earth. That is, you are gone. But that discipline of training the child, as long as you are alive, falls with you. And so yes, the money is important, but we need to focus on the children. In the case in point, for example, if the father obviously is nowhere to be found and all that, so the mother, who is the only surviving close parent, had taken it upon herself to constantly find a way to ensure that the child was adhering to training principles. Because of course, a guardian will not sufficiently be able to train your child the way you would want him or her to be trained. Because the guardian probably also has her own children or responsibilities, and you see, I would say sometimes it's innate. When you give birth, there is something inside of you that pricks you concerning your own blood. You know, and so in the same way, if it's not your child exactly, once other things occupy the space, you are tempted to forget the role of parenting. But when it is your own child, there is always that internal prick.
Okay, so I would want us to recap because Mama Lee is just joining us, so she has an idea of where we've journeyed to. But then so yeah, I'll let you do that once again, and then I have another question. So I have a question actually. So let's bring Mama in on board as well.
Okay, so
welcome Mama Lee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So in brief summary, we were looking at a real life scenario where this child, the mother left him in the hands of family. Now, those looking after him also didn't really take, let me put it, parental care, good parental care of him. So he eventually raised himself. That gave him the opportunity to have so many friends and relationships, which of course led him into association with this gay group that he virtually entered. I mean, the beginning was enjoyable, but after some time he decided to call it quits. And calling it quits became a very difficult scenario because it is not easy to quit just like that, you know. Now it got to the point where he decided to quit life completely, that is suicide, because he felt tired of it, until he got into counseling and is gradually okay now. Is around and walking good. But the point then that came out of it is that the buck still stops with the parents. And so the point I was making was that no matter what the case may be, yes, we should look for money, we should get enough to take care of them, but we should as well make sure that that particular role of raising the children is not checked for the pursuit of money or finance.
Right. Right. Okay, so Mama Lee, now you've been brought on. But Mr. Jokota, just want to find this out. The said mother who was unable to do what she was supposed to do when it came to raising her child, was she a single parent?
Clearly she was a single parent.
Okay, so there was no father figure.
There was no father figure. And then she also, in an attempt to get what it takes to take care of the child, traveled, let's say, out of the shores of the country.
Okay.
So that was how come she had to leave the child with family.
So because I remember that last week we had I think Mama Lee brought up the part, or she brought up a concern that surrounded the fact that if there was no father figure, I don't know if it was Mama Lee or I think it was Mama Lee, brought up something about having a father figure in the house, not necessarily well, she mentioned that if there's fear in the house or from the father, it will not help. But then we mentioned that there needed to be a father figure. So in this instance, or in this regard, can we say that because there was an absent father and also a mother, that could have possibly landed this young man into the wrong company?
Absolutely. Like we said last week, the father figure is critical in training the children. I mean, the father is the head of the house. And if the head is absent, there's surely going to be something missing in the training process. However, sometimes the mother could act both as the father and mother. Some are successful at that. You know, so and here's the case, the mother is also absent. So there is virtually a disconnect. There is so little guardians can do. Like I said, I think before Mama Lee came in, there is an innate connection between a parent, a direct parent and a child, and then a guardian. A guardian is seeing you as, okay, yes, I'm supposed to guide you, but not necessarily having
out of my way.
exactly.
Yes,
But the parent knows that this is my blood, this is my connection, and so I have no way to let it go out of line. You understand?
So then, can we also agree that when we talk about fathers being ones to raise boys and mothers being ones to raise girls, in a way, it is right?
No.
I would disagree with that
You
in
need
the
both.
sense that both parents have a role to play in the lives of both sexes,
Yes.
whether they are male or female. Of course, there are things that a female needs to learn from the mother, and there are things that the male needs to learn from the father. But all in all, both parents have roles to play in bringing both sexes up.
Yes, of course. I'm not cutting you, but
Yeah, you are cutting me.
that is Mama Lee. Troublesome Mama Lee.
No problem.
Yeah, okay. So on that point, yes, it's very true. I mean, it takes both, you know, to do.
Yes, it
you
does.
don't, yes, like I always say, I give practical,
Yeah.
you know, scenarios. For instance, if somebody says that, oh, because he's a boy, he has to be with the father, and because she's a girl, she has to be with the mother.
No.
It doesn't
Work that way.
if you ask me, because, for instance, my own self, my first is a boy,
Okay.
okay? And then I'm working, and I get home very, very, very late. By the time I get home, at least my boy tries to do something
Yeah.
in terms of like cooking, something small. Yeah,
As he
for
should,
yeah, for the sister to eat and make sure that maybe daddy has also eaten, you know, before I get home. Do you understand? So if I hadn't trained him, you know, in that way, there is no, if I had, you know, taught that, okay, he's a boy, so I mean he should be with a, you know, there's no way I would have, you know, had that. So it takes, you know, both sides, the man,
yes.
you know, the woman, you know, to bring them up.
A well-rounded
But then, yeah,
child.
well, yes. If it's a well-rounded one, you would have a beautiful one. You know, both. You know, my daughter, for instance, at times when she acts, you think she's a boy.
Okay.
You understand? So it you know, it takes, I think, both. And then
With a story.
with a story, is an unfortunate one. Mommy left and all that, left for family. Okay, at times, if the child is not your own, it's difficult. I mean, no matter what you try to do,
But are women not naturally nurturers?
Yes.
women are nurturers, okay? But then, let's take the instance that, okay, the child is not my child.
I don't that language.
No, but it's there.
It's you.
It's there.
Now
The child,
that we talk about it,
the
I'm thinking
child-
of stepmothers.
yes,
and
the child is
stepparents.
not my
but
child.
it-
Because it is
okay,
happening.
Caesarea. I
Yes, it happened.
understand.
But then people say, the child is not my child. Okay, so the way I would love my child, the way I would treat my child, you are not my child, or you are not mine. So let's say that you keep repeating something, and the guardian or whoever family keeps saying, oh, yo, please, what you're doing, I don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like it. One day, if you're not careful, there's a slap. But then,
But your mother will equally
You're-
hate you
Exactly.
if you're doing the
fine.
same thing.
But the thing is that there's still a difference.
Okay.
Maybe your mother would do it, and then later she would feel like, why did I do this to Oyo?
Right.
But then if it's someone else, she doesn't care. She doesn't give a damn. Because you are not, you know.
So what Bra Mike said is true. That with
That-
with the biological parents, there's some sort of connection.
Connection. And then one other thing too is that, you see, blood is blood.
Okay.
I don't know how to say, if it's coming from you as you, the child will pick certain things from you naturally.
Okay.
You understand? If you are an angry person, you see that as the child is growing, you see those attributes, and you know, you understand? So this is like, okay, you don't have that connection. So you realize that you are here, the person is also here. So if you are not careful, at times, you will keep having disconnections, disagreements, and every time the person is stressing you out. So if you don't know how to handle it, you would end up being, you know, the bad person. So with this, I mean, she's not there. Okay? So who cares?
Right.
It's only a few people who care. It's rare. Most of the time, I mean, she's not there. And the next thing that they will say is that now mama cry say we're too quiet or money is car.
But what if she's money using?
Okay, or money is car neba ye bedi. Ye bedi by near fan show. And it's a practical thing that is happening.
Okay.
Who dare send this cano ye pechi ngozi ye pechi scano but ye bedi. That scano crano ye bedi no. You will not even see to the child. It's just amongst
yourselves.
you know.
Okay. Okay.
So it's just an unfortunate situation. But then let me add one thing. I don't know whether we have time for me to conclude.
We are just starting, but let's Ngozi coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, with that story, I get it, but I also don't get it because I would go back to how we're training our children, or how we're training our children. We do a lot of individualism. It's mine, it's not mine, it's yours, it's not. We don't need to do that. We are a family, we're a set group. My sister had my first nephew when I was around 14. That I had finished BC, I was home waiting for. That child is like my child. He's actually like my firstborn. Because of the relationship I had with him. They thought I was a teenage mother, even especially in church, because of the relationship I had with him. I don't see him as my sister's child. I see him as my son. But he's my son. That's my first boy. And I feel like it's just who we are. You can't and I'll say that is your child. That is not your child. That is our child.
But don't you also think that it depends on the family that you're from?
That's why I'm saying that we teach individualism. But if we could teach that unity, that thing would not be a problem, especially if the mother is sending things. I understand like the financial frustration it might take to raise a child. Sometimes when I'm even frustrated, my own children, I'm like, Charlie, you people let me think small, you understand? But it's not, I feel like it's not an excuse. And I know this too because I have faced that minyo biba. And I saw it, I can't even go into that because that brought that's
it brings back memories, right?
So many bad memories, you understand? But now this person can't look me in the eye. You understand? Because the way she treated me versus how it was so different, how she treated her children. And a lot of my childhood traumas are from that experience. I know I don't want to pass it down onto another person. Into your bid in the baba mamia, I know that I can tell you, and you can't force me into doing it. I'll rather do that. I'll rather that somebody be honest about their capabilities than accept what they can't do and then harm the child. Because I can't watch my neighbor's child do something that I feel is wrong.
Okay.
Even
But
if
then
you
that's
insult,
why-
no, like even if you insult me, still meka.
That's why-
So
That is
imagine the child being in the house, like you're under my roof and I can't correct you. Obako. You understand? If you're under my roof, I should be able to train you.
That is you having a good heart and a good perception on life and everything.
That's
There
it.
are other people who would have, or who might have gone through the same thing you went through with your auntie, and would also say that what I experienced, everybody will experience double or triple of that.
Exactly.
So it depends on the individuals
Individual.
and how you
Yeah.
reason and how you think.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that it's a two-way thing. I don't think that we should put the blame squarely on the guardians.
That's where I'm actually coming
You
to.
understand? Okay.
So today our case study on the same topic is this gentleman's story. Unfortunately, we couldn't have him in the studio, but that was the original plan, to have had him in the studio to share his story. So I just want to find this out from you. In this instance, is the mother to be blamed? Because this is a mother who knew that if I stay here, my child will not live. I can't cater for myself nor my child. If I stay here, I will die and my child in the process as well. So the best thing for me to do is to relocate, go seek for greener pastures elsewhere, and make sure that I give my child the right thing. How wrong was this mother to have said that in order to do that, or in order to achieve that, I will leave my child in the care of my family? These are people who raised me, or these are people who are blood related. So this is not entirely an outsider, but my family. Could she have been wrong? Is she wrong? Should she be blamed?
She's not wrong. Okay, you know what? There are some situations where if she knows her family, like my family like this, I know who I can leave my children for and who I can't. You understand? There are some people who honestly, even if I was supposed to live under the bridge with my children, and those people were in mansions, I will live under the bridge with my children. We'll do it together. Anyhow. There are some people who I'll also leave them in their care so I can, sort myself out and then come and take them. But no matter what it is, I would try my very best to bridge that gap as soon as possible, if I can.
Okay.
You understand? That's why I think it's best.
And Ngozi, that's fine. And it's beautiful.
Yeah,
Yes,
you have
on
to
the
try.
surface.
On the surface, yes.
It's so
No,
beautiful.
that's why I'm saying
but
you try.
when we come to reality, okay, what she's saying, perfect. But then at times, you would look at somebody and you think you know the person. Somebody will say in toto. But then something happens and it triggers and you realize actually I never knew this person. The person can be family. Oh Charlie, I can leave my child. I trust my sister would take very good care of. But move a step out. And then a whole chaos happens behind you. And when you come back and you hear of it, you'll be shocked. So the beautiful thing is that, yes, we are family. Okay, so I should be able to trust, Mr. Jokoto, that, okay, when I leave, he should be able to take care of my kid for me. But the moment I'm gone, what's the You understand?
So the mother was not wrong to have
The mother was
to
not. No, she's looking for something good
for the child.
For the child, you understand? But then the thing is that she didn't anticipate that when I leave my child with my family, this is what was going to happen.
Right.
Fine. Let me quickly just speak that one, and then we go on. Now, I wanted to say something. I said, the blame should not be entirely on the mother or the guardian. There's one thing we are missing here.
The father.
not the father.
Because me, I'll blame the father for walking out in the first place.
Fine, the father.
Yes,
the father has.
Because if he had stayed,
fine,
and the woman wouldn't want to travel.
If he wants to go, you
but
cannot.
what if they were better off without the father as well?
Yes, if he wants to go, fine. There are some fathers, they are dead, but.
It's better.
I mean, they are not even doing anything, to help. In my area, for instance, I will always give you.
You have a story.
Yes, a story. Yes, in my area, I told you there's this lady. The man has seven. Yes, wow. with her. Wow. And you know what's happening?
You're not married.
Oh, he doesn't give a damn.
Wow.
He doesn't care.
Why did she get pregnant 7 times?
Ask again.
I don't understand that thing.
It's a topic we should pick up. It's a topic we should pick up because you've gone 1, you've gone 2, you've gone 3, you've gone and 7. And you know what happens?
Wait, let me tell you. Let me interject.
Seriously,
I want to tell you something. On social media, when you see this love post and stuff, you see someone or they'll be like, and I was with him and he wasn't paying this. And then, and I decided, and I got married. And I got married with the first baby. I thought he would change. But we went to the hospital. He didn't even pay one thing for the baby. Then they start, and I got pregnant again.
We'll do that.
Why are you getting pregnant?
I mean, people have.
Why?
Okay.
So I was going. Let me land on that one. Yeah, see, proud to tell you. Let me land. So, moving forward. I'm saying that apart from mother, apart from guidance, I want to say that the child involved is also a factor. Yes, that particular thing, most of the time we don't even think about it.
How so?
How so? There are certain children, I mean, naturally, they are just okay. They are just good. They are just, I mean, whether they are with their mother or the father or a guardian or somebody, they are just there. I don't know how, whether it's the Bible or Christianity, but it's innate in them. So they don't trouble you. So if you leave such a child with Mr. Jokoto, a chaplain, you see that everything will be fine. Because when he speaks, when he reprimands, the child is okay. But then there is another one who, as he's talking, he's cracking. As he's talking back. So you see that they both will be having problems. So I will not sit here and then put the blame entirely on Mr. Jokoto that he is not taking care of the child and then the child. But what about the child?
Okay.
What about the attitude of that child? So we should look at that aspect as well.
But our children not, for the lack of a better word, foolish, but until they are trained.
When we keep saying
no,
our children are
because even the Bible
and
has
that's
said,
what we always keep saying.
Mali,
I don't
even the
believe
Bible
so.
has said.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were young, we knew nothing. We didn't really know good from bad and all of that, but we learned because we were taught.
Do you know?
So do you think that?
Do you know the number of children who were not foolish when they were young?
Mama,
And that is because they were brought up.
To be beautiful.
They were brought up. They were nurtured. They were trained.
Yeah.
I'm telling
But
you.
in a space where there is no training,
I disagree
How
with
would the
that.
child
There
learn?
are
I don't
children.
believe in the
There are
concept
children
of a
who.
bad child,
There are children who have lost a father, who have lost a mother, but they are prim and proper.
because of the environment or where they were brought up,
yes,
or whatever was
child.
instilled in them from the beginning. It could have been a parent. It could have been a guardian.
Yeah.
So that those morals will be there, and it will be very difficult to corrupt such morals.
At times, if the child allows,
Mama Lee.
But that
then
doesn't
you
mean-
can
that
have
doesn't-
that training. But some children are stubborn
I
from
don't
From
believe so.
beginning, yes. But what if, right from infancy, nothing? Because we've been around children who you do things and they ask you, is this how to do this? Because they don't know.
They don't know.
They live in homes where their parents don't even have time to teach them anything. So they learn from friends.
Yes. We
And
don't
so
have
friends.
Yes, so
Yes.
if such children are to roll in the bad company, or
It's
they
from
make it
friends.
into bad company, they will pick up traits from there.
Yes.
All through this week, we've been talking about stuff like this.
Yes.
Because there are people that don't even know how to cook. Not because they don't want to, but because they've not been taught. So I believe entirely that a child would always be a child and will be foolish until there are some morals or there are trainings. But if you train a child to a point where no matter what you have done, they still have not learned, then it means that yes, your child is definitely one for.
I disagree. I still disagree. I know some children.
They came from their mother's womb.
It's just
stubborn.
No, wait. They came from their mother's wombs and they were perfect. They didn't need training. They didn't need guidance.
It's not about the guidance, though.
What is it?
As for the guidance, we always give
But
guidance.
wait,
But I'm saying that I didn't say that when I used him. I spoke about him. I said, if the child opens up, if the child doesn't give him attitude, then they can flow. But there are certain ones. Oye deya esanote.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Okay.
So maybe you're saying maybe the environment and all that, but then there's something called innate. It comes from within. It comes from deep inside.
Yes.
Do you understand? So there are certain children like that. It's just like no matter what you do, I mean, you can't get that child
to straighten up.
That's why we have the juvenile. What's the correctional centers, because I had ding.
But you heard me also say that. So such people, no matter what, there are some that. Of course, growing up, when a child is born, you have to train the child to teach them how to go. And so if you teach the child and they don't take it, and you know that you've done your bit, that's what I said.
Oh, yes.
Of course. Okay. So
yes.
I guess.
I agree with you on that point.
Mr. Jokoto.
So before I answer the question you posed,
yes,
let me try and address what Mama Lee raised. Yes, of course, you would have the situations where some children will be extremely difficult to raise. And some of these can be traced to so many things. And so as much as possible, if you are training a child, it is not a hard and fast rule or an inked rule in any book that you focus on and train the child. I've had a situation with a child that was trained in an environment where there was virtually no respect. So as young as she was, she could even throw her hand to knock you out and all that, because that's what she's used to. She could speak anyhow. I managed to get that child to be disciplined.
Wow.
Because, of course, you know where the training is coming from. You will need to break that trend immediately. That's the first thing. You break that trend, and then you begin to raise the child according to the new standard. Now we know that when a child reaches a certain age, it becomes difficult for you to raise that child. So you don't wait till that level to begin to straighten the child. You know. And then again, yes, there are some people who come out naturally ready to succeed. And so those are easy to raise. Of course, and you can trace that to their parents. I mean, how their parents were also raised, you know. So you can get some of those traits naturally. But the fact is that a child is a child. Train up a child the way he should go, and he will not depart from it. So if the child doesn't get that training and raising, they would definitely find their own way of raising themselves. As in the example we have had this afternoon. Of course, he saw it as well. Friends are in it, and they are doing fine. Okay. So, what's wrong with it? When I also okay, let me finish on this. So when I also go into it, you would not, because I have counseled some of these. At the end of the day, you realize that if some of these have had a good parenting or good guidance from whether guardians or direct parents, they wouldn't have entered into things like that. True. But because they were open to opportunities, they decided to raise themselves. You understand? There are people whose parents died even as they were very young. Some of them in their teens, or even before they entered into their teens. But because of the years their parents spent with them, the training that was imbibed in them continued, to help them, even though they probably didn't get the guidance that they should have necessarily got from them. Of course, the people looking after them may not give them the same level of parentage that their direct biological parents would have given them. But it didn't stop them from being raised properly, because of the basic training. The foundation was good. So it's a matter. I wouldn't necessarily say that we should also blame the child, because a child is always a child. So that is why when a child commits an offense, the parent is also dragged into the offense, because naturally the parent is supposed to raise, a parent or guardian is supposed to raise the child.
So Mr. Jokoto, the parent is supposed to raise the child. That we all understand that is normality, okay? All right. So what if at the point of birth, mother is gone, and then maybe father is, and nobody, he doesn't really care. Fine. The child is taking, like you said, is with the family or guidance. Fine.
Even some are on the street, but they are able to turn out right.
That's what I'm saying.
Because they fall in the right company.
Fine. So, but I would still say that naturally, some children
are born bad.
I would never agree to that.
No, we're talking about, like the gay thing that you said. Look, go to so many secondary schools now where we have the gays, we have lesbians and all that going. And they were you will go to school, and then maybe somebody attempts to do friends, and then we are talking about the influence and all that. But then you will meet somebody who, when you dare touch the person.
And where did they get that from? It didn't come from the womb.
It came from
their parents. From the foundation.
I'm saying that. What if that person didn't have what if it didn't happen? Like the normal thing that we are talking about, that the father should be there, the mother should be there, and then the parents trained.
So, Mama,
I have come across, please. I beg you, I have come across.
But you are not allowing yourself to understand as when, because we've been saying a lot that it doesn't necessarily have to be parents or present guardians. It can even be the community. It can be your environment. If you're in a place where it is loud, every time it is being spoken about that this thing is bad, this thing is bad. When you go into a space, no matter how much there's influence or there's pressure, because of the environment that you were brought up in.
Do you know that? Do you know that you as a person, God created you?
Of course.
Fine. Do you know that at times, you can have Ngozi. Ngozi will be telling you this thing, this. In your heart, I don't know how it happens, but your conscience, you can go and hide in a corner and tell yourself that, Charlie, Yes,
Because
she's saying it.
Did I
She's
not talk
doing
about
it.
this
But
on
then
Tuesday?
this thing, I don't feel like it. My
Of
spirit
course.
is telling me that
Yes.
no, do not do it.
What Mama Lee
And
is
it
saying.
is because of the foundation you've had.
Which foundation?
What
I am
Mama
not
Lee, let me
talking
tell you what
about
she's talking about.
foundation.
Let me
What
tell you
are
what
you
she's
talking
talking about. Mama Lee is trying to say there are some people who come out basically is predestined. Some are just, their path is their path and they are staying on it. It's as if they know where they are going from birth. So no
From day
matter what
one.
the factors are
Environment.
that worries them, they are straight on
They are
it.
just moving.
There are people now, and there are people like that. It's just that it is rare because we are a product of the environments that we find ourselves in. We are the products of our stories, our history, some of the things, even our parents' histories. All these comes into play to make us who we are based on how we were raised or the things that we saw as children. So, but there are some people who I
agree with you on
it's
that
as
point.
If
it's
the
like,
moment they are born, they know where they are going.
They are going.
Yeah.
And nothing will stop them. Nothing.
But it's rare.
Okay, yes.
So you can't expect that from every child. Most of the children that we have are meant to be, you are supposed to raise them the way you're supposed to. It's just like, like you're growing spinach. Spinach climbs.
Yes.
It's climbing. If you want it to climb, you have to put a stick and it has to climb or to crawl on the floor. However, you have to direct it where you need it to go. And that's how children are. You have to direct them.
There's this lady, a young lady, okay? The time in Sunye. That she should take seeds, she should be pregnant. But she did it. She was going to school and it happened. And everybody was like, hey, but another time, why did you? And it happened. Fine. She gave birth. All right? So you would expect that, okay, she's learned. She has a father there, she has a mother there, she has a training, she has everything. She has a community.
But she didn't learn.
She
got pregnant again.
Please.
She learned from the wrong place.
Exactly.
She learned saying that she had a present mother, father, and
she has everything. So if the training,
but she got pregnant again.
And she didn't learn from the house. But she learns it from outside.
Or even if she learns from the
environment.
but she could have learned from the house as well.
So
because
that's what I'm saying.
We have some parents that
training.
Mama Lee is saying that the parents
but then
were
at times, training fine is good. I will push myself to train you.
Mama Lee, wait, let me tell you something about training as well. Another thing that I could tell you about training is if you're a parent and you tell me but you are not living it, you are still failing in your training.
Yes.
Because you can be saying it, you have to do this, you have to do this, but then your action is the complete opposite. As a parent, especially if the child admires you, they will most likely do what you are doing more than what you are saying.
I understand you.
This conversation is not solely on training. Because we've made instances or we've said, that there are people who did not have any training at all.
Yes.
But they decided, they learned from people.
Yes.
So you pick up consciously or
but then if they learn from people, it's still training because you have seen that this is what, and so you are picking and picking. It's still training.
So as Mama Lee is saying, training is not just about speaking concerning issues. Like Ngozi said, training also includes monitoring. Training also includes controlling. Training also includes loving care.
Yes.
That will enable the person correct themselves when they go wrong. For example, I used the little kid that was from a boisterous home, that could just speak any word. The first time she does it, I said, don't use that word again. The next time she uses the word, immediately looks at my face and says, I'm sorry. I won't do it again.
She had been conditioned.
And it takes time.
Yes, it does.
After a period of time, it stopped. You get it. Now, the example she gave, she gets pregnant in her teens when she's supposed to be in school. Of course, before such a thing happens, the mind is conditioned in a certain manner.
Yeah.
This happens, she gives birth. What was the post-birth conditions from the parents, from the guardians, the guardians, and probably the community at a whole? What was the conditions that will ensure that it doesn't repeat itself? If we assume that because she has given birth and she's out of school, she has learned her lesson, that is wrong. I mean, the thing that led her into that place hasn't been dealt with. Until it is dealt with, the subconscious mind will still go back to something that made it happen. And it will happen again.
Yes, and again.
And again.
So even if the community or the parents speak with
not
her,
about
they
speaking.
talk to
It's
her.
about dealing.
So how do we deal with that?
There's a
So it's why
difference.
it's because of money, or it's
It
because
could
of
be many
what?
things.
It could be a lot of things
Could be many
put
things.
together, and that is why it needs to be dealt with. And dealing with it is not about going let me use the jata kind of thing, putting fear. No, that would even worsen the case.
Exactly.
In most cases. In some cases it will work, but in most cases it won't work.
It won't, yeah.
You look at what factors brought this into being in the first place. What is it? And it is a careful process. That's why the last time I said parenting is a whole institution.
Yeah.
It is a careful process of identifying where the problems came from.
Yeah.
Sometimes a parent could give the best of everything to the child, and the child will still be a problem.
Yes.
So you will realize that when you investigate deeply, you will realize that there is something that is missing.
Yes.
There are some, and they might be little factors,
Yes.
but when they come together, they become huge influences on the way the child will go. So when those things are addressed, you would realize that the child will come back
To be your child.
to being
Yes.
what you expect
Yes.
the child to be.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So I just like what is being said. This is someone who had both parents or the presence of a full family, but got pregnant when she was not supposed to. We can also talk about a street child who has never had
Gotten pregnant.
family.
Yeah.
Has never had family, never has never had anybody to look up to. They live from street to street, but they are very upright.
Yes.
Right.
You see.
And so wait,
Okay.
so in this instance, one who has never been loved, but has said that I don't want to end up like the rest of the street children I see. I would want to turn out right. And so they move towards people who they think are surrounded by love and pick up a thing or two from there. In these two instances, an absent parent, family, whatever, a present parent, family, and everything, who is it termed raising as well? Can it be weighed on the same scale? Is it termed training? Or is it just a strong mindset of a child to make it and to progress and is working for them?
Okay, so before a child would necessarily have a strong mindset, he or she would have learned, seen, or engaged.
Some are born with it.
Of course, no matter how
Some
much
are
you are,
born.
no matter how much you are
As for
born,
that
you are
point.
born with it. You would still need some kind of engagement or direction to ensure that you are right on track. Some are born to be good, but along the line, definitely they stray because of the environment they find themselves at a point in time. You know, so it's yes. I mean, every human being is born with the willpower, the decisiveness, you know, to do what they want to do. The example you just gave, a street child who decides that I don't want to be like this. Yeah. So you can clearly see that he or she has decided that this group of people are not what I want to be like. It is this group of people I want to be like. So the environment alone is teaching that child what to do to be right. Now, the environment, she probably sees this group of people, what they do, how it ends them up, you know, and realize that, no, I don't want to be in like this kind of environment. I want to be in this kind of environment. So she does what it takes to be in the good environment and not the bad. So that clearly is the environment and the relationships that are becoming the teachers or the trainers in this instance.
Okay, but to add to Mr. Jokoto's, what if there's a child, let's say maybe even has parents, and then maybe the father smokes, you know, they drink, they do everything that, all the vices in the house, and then you get this child to school, and then maybe let's say it's a boys' school, and then they do that thing that they do, their thing, yes, and then, you know, at times they even force them, they push them to, you know,
and drink,
and and then this child says, no matter how you push me, I'm not going to do it. Meanwhile, in the house, at home, he's seen it. He's seen it all. But then, in his inner, you know, he doesn't want it.
Mama,
okay, so that one, so that one, is it the environment? What is it? Is it the parent or what is?
Mama Lee, what I can say to that is mentally, just like physically, we all have our strengths. That's how mentally we also all have our strengths.
Thank you.
Your mind strength is not my mind strength, and the way I think is definitely not the same way you think.
Yeah.
Now, I know children who had parents who were addicts, cocaine addicts. They would not touch it now because they saw the damage it did to their parents at home when they were young. But there are also some children who their parents were alcoholics. They are also alcoholics because that's what they've seen at home. Daddy is always drinking, so okay, it's in the blood. Me, so I'm also drinking all the time. It depends on the child. Yes, the child, you need to have the strength. And when I'm talking about mental health, you see the mental strength. There are some women there are some people who you see, they'll tell you, oh, during maybe a war time or something happened. I was raped or so, and because of that, I am promiscuous. But there are some people who say, I was raped, but because of that, I need to be very careful about who I share my body with. So it's all about the mental strength. We are all important. Different.
He said that. Not I just say that. And he said that it is you, the mindset. Also being in an environment where you've seen these things, you've seen the end result of it. Yes. So you decide mentally what to do with it.
Life is a choice.
It's all in your hands. You then decide, okay, everybody is smoking around me. I have seen them smoke to their death. But I'll go ahead of you.
That's why you come in. You're strong-minded. It's there. That's why I said innate. It's there. So you
I
don't
think it's the
want
choice that we
to-
all make. We all have choices. That's how
because
life
I
is.
can do it. I can
All right.
say
So
don't,
can we
don't,
come
don't,
back?
don't.
Can we
But
come back?
Yeah.
All right. So back to our story of discussion. We have a few minutes to go. What if the parents in this situation now the parents are present, family is present, just like the young lady's story you shared as well. She lived in a home, or she was raised in a home where nobody had regard for any other person. So she grew up thinking that was the way to go.
Yeah.
So she had no respect or regard for anyone. What if the environment or the home you're in, with everybody present, grandparents are present in your life, they are actively doing their best to raise you and everything, but they themselves don't even know the right way to raise you?
So
That's all.
like I said, I think I gave that example as I was speaking,
Okay.
that there are homes that they give everything to the child, and yet the child still goes out of line. It means that there are certain little factors that were overlooked
Okay.
in the process. Parenting is not just giving everything that the child needs at any point in time. There are little things that need also to be put in their rightful places.
Okay.
You get some of these children from extremely rich homes not respecting views from maybe people of poor background,
Yeah.
because they think that
They are nobodies.
and whatever they say makes no sense. So at the end of the day, they enter into problems, although they come from a home with everything.
There's nothing to solve it.
And there's nothing to solve it. Meanwhile, when you look at it, the issue is just something little that should have been put in place from their growing up ages. For example, a father has everything. Let's say the family has everything. I mean, so much money that even cars are normal things, phones are normal things. They have access to everything. Now, because they have access to everything, they are able to speak to maids and house helps and security men anyhow. So that locks into their
consciousness.
Their consciousness. And so they act like that outside, and then it gets out of hand at a point in time where we now ask, but they had everything. Why is it that they came out this way? They lacked the training to respect others.
Because those who were training them did not even know it
Did
themselves.
not even know it themselves that, okay, you as a parent has the authority over this house helps and the rest. But they as children do not have that authority.
Yeah.
So you train them to respect these people and not to speak to them anyhow because they are your children. Because they would grow up with it if you train them in that manner.
And I'm sure that one way or the other, we all have experienced such people.
Oh, yes.
And then once you hear their parents speak, you're like, the apple tree doesn't fall far from the tree.
Absolutely.
And it goes deeper. Like you realize that even the grandparents also, like they are ones who look down on people. So you see that sometimes, okay, so I've experienced it once and I actually felt sorry for the family because I felt like I should have been upset, but rather I pitied you because I feel like nobody actually thought you, and it's not even your fault that you don't know this. So I can't even fault you. I can't be upset. Rather, I pitied them because the mother came out. The young girl was misbehaving outside, speaking rudely to people. The mother came out of her car and her tone, the most condescending tone I have ever heard. And I'm like, okay. And from the way they carried themselves, it just made sense that is the environment that they grew up in or they've been used to all their life. And they did not for a single second, even through a window, see that there's something beyond this thing that we know.
That's a sad life, isn't it?
Very
sad.
But you know that you said the parents are there, they have everything, everything is smooth and cool. But then you see, when that happens, the rich always want more. You understand? So there is no time that they would even relax at home and then see to it that, okay, this is.
That's
they
not
are
entirely
always
true,
That's
Mama
not
Lee,
true.
because there are some
But they
rich
are
families
always
who
on the run.
have trained their children so well, and they will reprimand you even if it's in
So
public.
well.
Yes,
So
but
very
that
well.
is in the minority.
Oh, no.
No, if
No,
you
no,
see,
no.
okay, all right.
Mama
I
Lee,
have
do you- do you have
seen,
any-
Recently-
I have
any
seen
research?
some
Recently,
rich,
what happened?
gentle
Is it
children.
not rich?
Oh no, but
Oh, that
them
one, no, but look at that one's
is-
father. Look at the one's
And
father.
you see,
Look
so
at,
you can
see,
tell that there's
you
a
will make me
pattern
go on
as well.
another tangent.
Okay, no, don't go there, I beg you.
without going into the recent case,
Yeah.
there is no direct data readily available to determine whether
Okay.
the rich or the poor. Yeah, I mean, training issues happen on both sides.
Yeah.
The most important thing here is that whether you have everything or not, there is the need to
make
ensure-
time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To make time. Sometimes even the time that we are talking about, it may not be so much time, but a little time that you spend with them impacts a lot
Yes.
to them,
Yeah.
and it may even go with them for life.
Yeah.
I would use my late sister for example. She passed on about 4 or 5 years ago. Yes,
Condolences.
and her eldest daughter is now their mother. She's in university now.
Wow.
The training that she took her through, so she's virtually now the mother to the youngest. The youngest is about 8.
Yeah, wow.
That discipline is still with them. You understand? She's no more there, but they still have that
Yeah.
holding
yeah.
discipline
Yes.
with them. So it's not necessarily the number of or the time frame spent, but training, sometimes even an hour of stay, speaks volumes.
Yes, it does.
Depending on what you do,
Your
what you
approach,
say,
yes.
how you approach it.
So you have to stay. At
You know, I was thinking about this Islegon accident here, and I was saying to myself, when you deep it, it's not just from the home. Everybody who has interacted with that child and had seen that this is the tangent the child was on and felt that they did not need to correct it has a hand to play. I don't believe in only member kasa anyhow can't no. They will talk to you anyhow, but that insult is not written on you. But that guilt, honestly, if I had known that child and I hadn't said anything, like I knew that the child would go on races or something, or I had even helped cover that incident up, even if that thing happened 2 years ago and I had seen this happen last week with these children, I will have some guilt on me, like hey, I played a role in this because man can't. You understand?
Because you have a kind heart.
And then again, you could have only said it if you had the power.
If you have,
If there are parents who would not even want you
We
to
don't
look the
want
direction
you.
of their child, let alone correct them. Like, who are you to
Yes,
correct
to
my
talk
child?
to my
I
child
have
like
been
that.
into a PTA meeting where a
yeah,
parent
some more.
was reprimanding a teacher for correcting their
Can you
child.
imagine?
And I looked at the parent and I shook my head.
Because you're
And
that's
I'm
the end of your child, the beginning of the end.
End of
Mm,
your
the
child.
beginning and the end.
Exactly.
Yes, we understand the fact that some teachers go overboard.
Overboard. Yeah.
But even if the teacher has gone overboard, do not let your child
See
on
that.
any
Yes.
occasion see that. Let it be an issue you
Between
deal
you
with
and the
between
teacher.
you and the teacher or the school.
Right.
That okay, I appreciate the fact that you need to discipline my child, but I think this one was overboard.
Yeah.
And I believe that even the school involved would realize whether this is overboard or
Or
this
not.
is right. I think some of these things are also not helping the raising of our children, because now in some of the schools, the teachers are afraid, of what will happen. So they are not ready to go extra mile. I mean, if it were in some institution, in some days in the past, you dare not even try driving a car.
When you come to school, you'll be punished.
When you are not
yes.
of age.
Yes.
I mean, you'll be punished.
You'll be punished, and your parents will be called.
Exactly.
If they don't also admit to the fact that they've been wrong, is it that you're going on suspension or you're being expelled?
Absolutely.
Parents school.
Absolutely.
No, but at times some of those things that we do, we feel that there's somebody who behind. So you do it and you do it confident because you know that Charlie, I'll just pick a phone and they say, hey, and case closed.
All right. So in concluding, I want to find this out from you. 1 minute each, so we leave. In a situation where parents or family have failed in raising a child correctly, whose responsibility or who does the onus fall on to raise this child correctly? If it was when I was growing up, I would say community, school, church. But today, I don't know if we can say the same thing. Because in some churches, you go to churches and pastors are careful what they preach because they do not want to lose their members. You go to schools and head teachers or some teachers are afraid to reprimand their child because they don't want parents to take out their kids. Communities, because this family, once in a while the mother gives me some 1K or 2K, even if the child is walking with the head, I'll say that's the way to walk. So who now should be responsible or is responsible for the upbringing of a child? Should the family or parents fail? Because some of them are failing woefully.
Shall they?
I think this is a difficult question to answer, but it is the responsibility of everyone, like Ngozi said, to ensure that we raise our future leaders. Whatever the case may be, you may be gone. If you have children, they're going to live with the same people in their generation. You definitely know the end result. So it's a collective responsibility of the community and the nation as a whole to ensure that our future children are raised the right way. We cannot check that responsibility and say because the parents are not doing it right, and so we all fold our hands. When we fold our hands, we one day get presidents and leaders that will come out of this kind of training.
Exactly.
And it will be a problem.
Now I'm imagining things.
Exactly.
It will be a bigger problem. So it's something that every community needs to take seriously.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Jokoto. Mamali?
Yeah. Bakope. Yes. Yes, like Mr. Jokoto said, I think if mommy is not there, daddy is not there, I think we should all, together join hands and then, train our children. And I will always go back to the past. That's how we were doing it. I mean, you see it, you say it, you do something about it. So if we can go back to our culture, our tradition, and how we used to do it, I think it would work for us.
Thank you
if
very
not,
much.
then...
Thank you. Ngozi?
You already know where I stand. Whether mommy and daddy are there, says still
I'll pinch you
add extra training to mommy and daddy's training because we all need it.
Yes.
Honestly, we all do need it. There are certain things my mom probably did not know when I was growing up that she learned from someone. There are things, funny enough, there are things that I taught my mom about myself on how to interact with me to get the best reaction
Reaction.
from me, or the best results. Me, if you shout on me, I won't do it. I'll do more of what you say I shouldn't do. I don't
You're
talk
a
to me
rebellious
anymore.
child.
Yeah. But if you talk to me gently, there's a way I would do it, Pepe, the way you need me to do it. So we are all involved
yes, we are
in this situation. It's not just my
Right.
mother or father. We are all involved. Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very,
Yes.
very much. Today the conversation. Do you realize that we didn't even open phone lines today?
I know,
Yeah.
right?
We were just self-centered. We're enjoying the conversation. But the number to text us on is 0544321019. 0544321019. I've seen quite a number of messages and it's really looking good on here. So we'll get to the messages soon. Let us know what you think about our conversation. And also, in summary, our last question, I was asking if the parents and the families or guardians, whoever, if they fail, who then takes up the responsibility of nurturing or training up a child or raising a child. Thank you so much to Mr. Michael Jokoto and also to Mama Lee and Ngozi as well for joining us for this discussion. Jonathan is coming up in 2 minutes to bring you the sport update. But before then, let me tell you once again about the Ghana Club 100 Awards. For over 2 decades, the Ghana Club 100 Awards has honored corporate Ghana for their immense contribution to the country's economy. It has been a story of splendor and of prestige, as top 100 businesses are ranked for their outstanding performances in multiple sectors. This year, the Ghana Club 100 Awards returns for its 21st edition. Come and participate in the executive networking sessions, the three-lane award ceremony, and the electrifying post-event celebrations. Make a date on Friday, 25th of October. That's actually tomorrow at the Palms, La Palm Royal Beach Hotel. And the time is at exactly 6 p.m. No Ghana Man time like we spoke about yesterday. Go and be punctual on time. You can purchase your tickets now via the USSD code *365 *2100 hash. Again, it's *365 *2100 hash, or call 0243 534559. 0243 5359. I beg your pardon. 0243 534559 or 0247 600 860. 0247 600 860 to RSVP. Let's come together and celebrate Ghana's business leaders.
All right, and I understand that some schools are having their midterm already, and we know the kids are going to be home, and some of them will be bored, and we know that it is really, really hot. So you want to have some activities for your children to do where they can cool down, learn, and also activate their brain as well. Now, if you're looking for something like that, please, this is for you. Ghana's biggest water park is now here. The Marina Water Park is a new